Everyone keeps talking about the wrong thing. Is the striker good enough? Can Pulisic find his form? Does the back three hold up? Real questions, but not the question. The real problem with this USMNT runs deeper than any single player. It runs through the entire tactical identity of the team. And if Pochettino doesn't confront it before June 12th, the 2026 World Cup becomes something this country spends years trying to process. Watch the last 12 months of USMNT football carefully. Not just the results, the patterns. Where does the ball go when the press breaks down? What happens in the 45 seconds after America wins possession in midfield? What's occurring 10 seconds before a goal is conceded? There's a pattern in all three. The same pattern, over and over. And it points to something nobody wants to say out loud. This team doesn't actually know how it wants to play. Start with what I'd call the fake domination problem. The USMNT loves having the ball. The system is built around it. 3 center backs in possession, wing backs pushing high, midfielders circulating. On paper, this looks like a team that controls matches. Statistically, in possession percentage, it sometimes does. But watch what that possession actually looks like. The ball moves sideways, center back to center back, wide to wing back again. The tempo stays flat, nobody drives forward, the opponent settles deeper, and before long, America has 60% of the ball and 0 penetration. The midfield is the core of the issue. Tyler Adams is a brilliant defensive midfielder, trigger pull, ball winner, engine. Weston McKennie is a powerful box-to-box presence who scores important goals. These are genuinely good players, but neither of them is a tempo setter. Neither one looks at a locked defensive block and finds the vertical pass through the seam. That profile, the player who slows the game down, sees 2 moves ahead, decides when to accelerate, is genuinely missing. And when it's missing, possession becomes theater. It looks dominant, it isn't. The second problem is harder to talk about because it involves the team's best player. Christian Pulisic hasn't scored for the USMNT since November 2024. At AC Milan this season, he met 19 consecutive Serie A matches without a goal, the worst drought of his career. He scored against Senegal just days ago in a friendly, which matters, which is real, but the structural issue existed long before the drought started and will outlast it. When America struggles to create, and it struggles more often than the results suggest, there's one default response. Find Pulisic, wait for magic. But Pulisic's best position is high and central, arriving late into dangerous areas. When he becomes the only real creative solution, he drops deep to receive the ball. He comes back into midfield to get touches. The moment he does that, the penalty area empties. Balogun is isolated up top. The half spaces are vacant. The team's most dangerous weapon gets neutralized by its own reliance on him. Goal.com's tactical breakdown of the September 2025 South Korea loss was precise about it. When the US had possession, it was clear that there was a policy. Get it to Christian Pulisic. That's not a system, that's a habit, and habits get exploited at World Cups. Now, the third problem, and this one is philosophical, which is maybe why it's the easiest to ignore. There's a version of this team that makes complete sense. Physically explosive midfielders who press relentlessly, fast transition attacks, wingbacks who stretch the field. Against teams that play high lines and give you space on the counter, America can be genuinely dangerous. That's a real identity. But Pochettino has been building towards something more possession-based, more structured and build-up, closer to the elite European club model he comes from. And there's a tension there that hasn't been resolved. When a high press comes, and South Korea in September, Canada in March 2025, Panama at the Nations League finals, the cracks appear immediately. The center backs are asked to play out under pressure in ways that expose their limitations. The system demands a passing sophistication that doesn't quite match the personnel available. Pochettino isn't blind to this. The back three shift last autumn was a genuine attempt at a solution, and it worked. 5 unbeaten matches to close 2025 is real, but the creative void in central midfield remains. Tyler Adams is the squad's only true defensive midfielder after injuries ruled out Tanner Tessman. Gio Reyna, who Pochettino said he really trusts, is in the squad despite barely 500 Bundesliga minutes this season. Pochettino called him amazing talent and picked them anyway. That choice tells you exactly how serious the problem is. So what does the fix actually look like? Stop pretending this is a possession side. The identity that works for this group is transition. McKennie and Adams running into space after turnovers, Balogun attacking the channel, Pulisic arriving with momentum in behind. The athleticism in this midfield is a weapon. It's only a weapon in open space. Give Reyna a real role, not a late substitute appearance. In the matches where a creative unlock is needed, and Paraguay on June 12th will require exactly that, someone has to be willing to receive between the lines and face forward. Reyna, when trusted and fit, is the only profile in this squad that does that. Pochettino trusts him. Now he has to use him. And most importantly, be willing to be ugly. A long ball into Balogun's run is not a failure. Clearing the defensive third under pressure is not a surrender. The teams that go deep in tournaments survive the uncomfortable games. June 12th at SoFi Stadium is going to be uncomfortable. The question is whether Pochettino's team has the pragmatism, not just the talent, to get through it. I've gone back and forth on how bad this actually is. Talented squad, home crowd, experienced coach. Maybe these problems dissolve under tournament pressure. Then I watched the South Korea tape again. Watched Panama. Thought about what Paraguay's defensive block will look like at SoFi. The problem is bigger than it looks from the outside. That's the honest conclusion. Drop your take below. Is this team ready, or is something still fundamentally broken? I read everything. Let's talk about it.